Supplements is kind of the topic that I want to kind of jump into for this week because we got some favorite supplements and we talked about a few different things that we used over the last few episodes as well. But just a little bit of deep dive about why do we use specific supplements and what are things we've liked throughout the history. Maybe discuss some big ones as well that people are using that might not actually be very beneficial but are very common that people use as well. So I think it's a good place to start. What kind of things are you using at the moment? Because you've used a wide variety just over the last few months that I've spoken to you as well.
Yeah, I think, for listeners listening to, speaking for myself, I think what I use is partly what my body needs, what my training's calling for, but also what I might be experimenting into in terms of new diets, new protocols, testing new things. So in the summertime, I was even doing a lot of ancestral desiccated organs, so just like liver and heart and lung, and it works on the premise of like heals like. So if you eat an organ from an animal, that the nutrients found in that organ are going to help your organs, the same organs. And I found a lot of benefit from those. And that was it was good, and that dovetails into sort of like more Chinese herbs. So from my Chinese medicine background, I would use ginsengs and astragalus and reishi mushroom, chaga, lion's mane. So more like compounds that are going to have some really great active ingredients that I think more modern supplements might extract those specific ingredients. So in ginsengs, it would be the ginsengicides or the ginsenicides, trying not to say genocides. And those are the active ingredients that have to do with prolonging like telomere length. So it's an anti-aging thing. And they're sort of the biggest bang for the buck. And those are really great, but I find in Chinese medicine, more in sort of the natural whole food, holistic way, that when you eat the entire plant, you get not only the most beneficial elements and molecules and parts of the plant, but all the other parts that support the functioning of those main ones. So that'll be like the ancestral supplements I like a lot. The Chinese medicine herbs, so also those are also known in more modern terms as adaptogens, and so that would be like reishi mushroom, chaga, astragalus, schizandra, just a ton of different, they're all on the tip of my tongue, but essentially what they do are where you have excess energy, they direct that energy to where you're deficient in energy. So say you have a lot of tension or a lot of anxiousness in your heart, and then you start a lot of speedy thoughts and a lot of high-speed thinking and stuff. You want to take that energy and you want to bring it to other areas of your body that might need nourishment. So you might need nourishment in your adrenals or your liver, which have functions that really smooth out energy and calm you down. So adaptogens are fantastic, and they're not necessarily stimulants or depressants. They are that equalizers. So they adapt to the environment that you happen to be in. So if it's a high-paced environment and you're kind of burning the candle at both ends, you want to be able to support yourself to have a nice, calm, focused state in that, and vice versa. If it's something that you need energy for, and you happen to be in kind of a sluggish state, those particular adaptogens will give you a bit of a boost. But then back to your original question, then the third part for me would then be more, I guess, Western supplements. And some of them I'm constantly using. I mean, magnesium is a real big one that is a constant one that I'll use. Magnesium, vitamin D, just reaching into my supplement cupboard right now. I'm actually taking active folate, so you'd know better than me in terms of all the names because you're the nutrition supplementation guy, with the L5-MTHF. So it is the active form of folic acid. And I do that because I did a genetic test about a decade ago, and I carry the recessive MTHFR gene. So that essentially gives me, I need a bit of a boost when it comes to anything from detoxification to neurotransmitters in my brain, and other functions in the body that can kind of come out of a deficiency in the MTHFR area. So in short, I just need to take a lot of B vitamins or a lot of liver. So I'll take liver capsules or I'll make pate.
And I did a video about this a while back as well, last year, about if you have the MTHFR gene. And a very easy test for that is that if your urine smells, if you're not eating asparagus, but it smells as if you have been, that's usually a very easy and early on sign and test for that. And there's a huge amount of benefit that comes from actually taking this and including it within your diet, because long term, a lot more inflammation within the brain, a lot higher chance for things such as Alzheimer's. And a lot of people who are vegetarian or vegan get a huge deficiency within this as well. So they need to make sure that they're getting a massive amount extra, even if they don't have the MTHFR gene as well. No, very, very important. I mean, there's a lot in there that I kind of wanted to break down and go through. Every time I kind of wanted to step in and go like, oh, let's stop there and dig deeper in there. But the first thing you mentioned was the organ, the desiccated organs. So I have actually never actually taken desiccated organs. I've never actually dug deeper into them, because in my mind it was always, well, if I can eat heart, why not just eat heart rather than having a tablet with heart? So is there actually a difference between the desiccated supplement and eating the actual heart or liver or all the other organs that they use for it?
Yeah, when you dry it out and it's a desiccated version of the supplement, it's more concentrated. So it's dehydrated. So a lot of like the water, a lot of the extra tissue and collagen and stuff that forms the actual organ is taken away or evaporated, and it's shrunken down to a more concentrated version. So that's partly, it's just an easier way. I can get more organs in. And I didn't grow up with eating organ meat, right? So I do like a paleo pate with bacon and raisins and coconut oil and some fresh herbs and stuff and onions and garlic, and I'll do liver in that and then pulse it in a food processor and have that. And that's the closest that I can get to eating liver without it being a negative thing. So the odd time I'll get heart. I've tried it a few times. It's not too bad. I mean, a lot of it's just time to cook it, time to figure it out. Brain is one that I will have head cheese the odd time if it's the real deal, but it's not something that I would necessarily cook right away. I wouldn't be opposed to it, and it's just a matter of exposure to it and stuff, and I think that's just part of one of our earlier podcasts around how far we've been removed from our natural elements and what we would naturally eat or what humans used to eat in more hunter-gatherer type cultures. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's capsules.
And this is the thing as well. A lot of the supplements that we take are just food. We wouldn't actually have them within our food. It's just a more convenient version. And this is the big debate that comes up about whey protein, as in, is this a good supplement to take? Is the best source? It's not necessarily the best source. It's a source of protein. It's a very convenient way that you can just put in a shake and have it after a workout. Now, I don't recommend it for everybody. A lot of people are not tolerant towards dairy as well. But if you are tolerant to dairy and you want the convenience, it's not the cheapest, but I mean, that's the thing. It's a convenience, as it were. And if you are eating lots of different organ meats all the time, you maybe don't need these supplements. But the other side, as you said, you can kind of compact a lot of the benefits you get from eating organ meats, and especially without the negative side effects of we're simply not used to it. Because it is an acquired taste, eating brain, eating liver, eating things such as heart. For some people, absolutely love them. And something like I had lamb's heart last year, and it's absolutely delicious, very, very, very tasty. But even then, it's a little bit chewier than what people are used to. So maybe it's just fact of getting used to it itself, saying I'm prioritizing my health over the fact that I prefer it to be as tasty as possible. Or you simply take the supplements, which might be a little bit more expensive from that side as well.
It's more expensive.
The second thing you were talking about was the...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, it's definitely
I was just going to talk about the...
Yeah, go for it. What's the second question?
The lag. I was going to talk about the adaptogens. So things such as ginseng and rhodiola or astragalus, all of these, if we look at every single element of the body, if we look at training, if we look at nutrition, within supplementation, every kind of function within the body, there's an optimal range that we want to be within. And that's really what these adaptogens do. They bring us within this optimum range for a long term, because our body is reacting constantly to the outside world because it's built for a different time. It's built when we need to have this flight or fight response. There was a lot of different exposures, a lot of safety as well. So if we have something like this, we can kind of bring ourselves back down to that safe zone because our body is kind of trained to say, well, there might be a dangerous animal around the corner. So we need to have that huge cortisol or adrenal reaction. And if we constantly have that every single day because we're driving in traffic or we're watching a movie or something like that, something that we're just not used to, as it were, we're exposing ourselves to way too much of the wrong hormones because our body's simply trying to survive when it's in a very serious situation. And that's where something like that can come in very, very, very handy for a lot of different people. And this is something that I use as well for vitamin C, because when I'm in a high stress situation, for example, this week I was preparing for some travel, and that makes a lot more stress kind of preparing for everything else. And when you're feeding that, make sure that you increase the amount of vitamin C you have, because that brings down the cortisol. Now, the other side of this as well is that you want to have cortisol in certain situations. For example, when you're working out, you want to have that spike in cortisol to signal to the body that you need to get that adaptive reaction towards that and actually get the results from your workout. So I make sure I don't get my vitamin C before, after, or during the workout, so that I don't blunt that response at that time. But when I'm just sitting there on the couch and I'm not actually in a training state or a stressful state and I'm still feeling stressful, that's a good time to then increase the vitamin C or take some other adaptogens as well to bring yourself into that perfect middle ground.
Yeah, completely, 100%. And I think that's how I base what supplements I choose, is what's going on in my lifestyle in terms of how much stress I happen to be under. And I know when I'm under a lot of stress, they could just be a positive stress or just a lot of stuff going on, that I'm reaching for something. And I'm always reaching, and then, so this is where like the false cravings come in. So I might be reaching for carbs or even reaching for feeling like I need more protein, but there's some sort of a deficiency internally, and a lot of it is just I've been running too much stress for the entire day, and I need to find a way to switch off certain parts of my body so I can actually relax. And that's part of like the switch around, like, well, what gives you energy? Is it stimulants that give you energy, or is it proper relaxation and sleep that gives you energy? And I've gone through phases where I'll definitely do more stimulant types, like I'll do a lot of carnitine, a lot of coffee, and things like nootropics, like alpha GPC is one of my favorites. So things that help with brain health, but they also give you a slight stimulating effect too. And those work, but I look at long-term sustainability of my lifestyle and just the ups and downs of being a coach and training a whole lot myself and then being a parent, that it's actually more the supplements that calm me down, that give me the more benefit, and that I need to take those at, as weird as it says, around what would be the natural point of the day where I should be turning off, right? So it would be, just around dinner time, I'll start to take my magnesium capsules then. Sometimes I'll take taurine, which I find helps to downregulate my nervous system. It's a real cheap one. Taurine is often found in energy drinks. So you look on the back of the label of even cheaper energy drinks, and you have caffeine and ginseng and all sorts of stuff that are more stimulants. Taurine is actually usually a balancer, so it actually helps to calm down your nervous system, and it helps in the formation of GABA, which is the sort of neurotransmitter that inhibits the excitatory neurotransmitters, the ones that just keep you all stimulated, so it stops that process from happening so you can get into a nice good state. So those ones, and inositol. Inositol is a real big one that I use a lot, that back from the Charles Poliquin days, but also Wolfgang Unsold in Stuttgart, Germany is really big on inositol for stressed people. So that one helps. Inositol is really great because it helps to give raw nutrients to form other neurotransmitters. And it's closely related to B vitamins, and it also helps with blood sugar regulation too. So inositol is a real good friend of mine. And melatonin's the other one that I do pretty consistently. It's sleep, usually about 5 milligrams now. That goes back to just recent research on theories. They can never really test, but theories that levels of melatonin 100 years ago were significantly higher than the average level of melatonin, which is the hormone that helps to turn off your brain and helps to enter sleep so that you get a nice deeper sleep. It's more so having problems falling asleep than it is holding sleep, but it is a neurotransmitter that sort of, it's known partly as sort of like the master neurotransmitter that just helps to reinforce just a deeper rest. So you get a lot of tissue repair, you get a lot of rejuvenation in different systems. So about 5 milligrams of melatonin, up to 10, sometimes 20 milligrams if I'm really wired, or if I just want to have a deeper sleep. So the sleep stack currently is magnesium, taurine, inositol, and melatonin, and that just helps to give me a nice calm feeling there. And then during the daytime would be I'm actually taking in adrenal supplement with some adaptogen herbs. So the adrenals come from their bovine adrenals, so from cattle, and then adaptogenic herbs. And I'll take some carnitine and vitamin D, of course, and digestive enzymes. I find digestive enzymes for me, especially if I'm, again, stressed, busier during the daytime, as well as wanting to maximize performance and digestion of my food to make sure that I have enough protein and nutrients that get loaded into the muscles as much as possible. I really want to make sure that I have my digestion on point. And, if I get a little bit of like gut rot, or I get, some digestive disturbances, even though I'm eating everything that's really healthy, I usually know that I'm usually not producing enough HCl, that's enough hydrochloric acid to digest food. And the first time that I took HCl that week, or that month, I think I mentioned this in another podcast, but I put on, it was like 8 pounds of muscle, so like 4 kilos of muscle, and I didn't change anything. All I changed was the fact that I'm digesting my food now. So food digestion is really important, as well as having enough HCl and enough enzymes that kill pathogens too, so that you don't end up with moving into things like SIBO and digestive disturbances and imbalances in your microflora and stuff. So yeah, that's in a nutshell where I'm at with my supplementation. Yeah.
I'm really glad you mentioned about digestion, because I think that's a huge thing as well. A lot of people speak negatively about supplements, saying we should just be able to get all of this from our food. And this was definitely the case about 50 or 60 years ago when they first did the tests on the food to see how much of the nutritional value it had. But now it's 50 or 60 years later, and if you do the same tests on the same types of foods, there's a much smaller amount of nutritional value in all of the same foods. And we're still looking at these things when we're tracking it on apps from research from 50 or 60 years ago. So it's a big problem between there, because we're not actually getting what we need from our food, because the food has a much less nutritional value, because the ground, the soil is a lot over farmed, and the plants themselves and the animals are not getting the food that they need. Now the animals themselves are a little bit of a better place to get your nutritional value from, because they've done the hard work. They've sorted through a ton of plant matter, and they themselves then got the nutritional value from that, and then meat is a lot more nutrient dense. But even then you need to break down that meat. So taking in digestive enzymes, and now I take one of the pills that I've gotten from Solgar, a digestive enzyme, and I just break it into 4, and then it's just a small bit of digestive enzyme with every single meal. So if there's a big meal, I'll make sure I take more of a digestive enzyme in. If it's just any small meal, just a little bit extra, and it helps break it down. And as you said, the HCl, increasing that is a very, very big benefit as well. No, for sure. Another one that I really like for the brain is ask.
Go ahead. Yeah, finish off. Then I've got 2 questions for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was just saying about L-theanine is a big one for sleep that I really like as well. Again, a subtle effect, but you do notice that you feel a little bit more relaxed. Another one I really like for the brain is Gotu-Kola. And I actually got through this through Poliquin as well, because he recommended this years ago about the healing of scars. Now, I've got an autoimmune condition, so I've got quite a few scars from the lesions that show up, and sometimes you'll notice I have a lesion here or there. And so it's a big aesthetical thing and a confidence thing as well. For years, I kind of looked at myself and said, I hate the fact that I've got these scars all over my body. And forgetting the fact that it was also very painful, these kind of things, it's simply like, that's a mark that stays with you a longer time. So it's a big priority for me to get rid of these. So Gotu-Kola is one of these herbs that Poliquin said, take for 6 months. You have to kind of build up a certain amount within your body, and then you start to notice a very quick difference. So I took it for about 6 6-7 months, and straight away the scars just started to fade.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very, very good one from that side. But the side effect from it as well is that a lot of people take it mostly for the brain rather than for producing scarring.
Yep.
So ever since I started taking it, you feel a lot more clarity, less brain fog, and these kind of things as well. And I'm a big fan of it, and I recommend it to a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
And you can get it in supplement form, but you also can buy it as tea, very, very cheaply in a big bag, and just kind of drink.
It's also really cheap.
So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Chinese medicine, it's known for a lot of mental clarity, and qi, or energy, just gives you a nice sort of lighter feeling. One question I get asked a lot, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it, is, so we're kind of connected, but talking about melatonin and digestive enzymes, if you take those on a consistent basis, right, does it create a deficiency in your body? Like if you take melatonin consistently every night, or if you're taking digestive enzymes or something that helps with a function in your body, does that function start to diminish? Or like, what's your viewpoint on that?
Digestive enzymes, no, because your body's producing them themselves, but it doesn't necessarily, there's no negative feedback loop where if you take digestive enzymes, it can test how many digestive enzymes you have. There's just usually a continuous process within your saliva, within your body. HCl, once it reaches a certain stage, it will regulate itself. So if you increase your HCl, your body will try to bring it down if it's too high. If it's too low, it will continuously do this as well. But a lot of people drink water around the meals and don't have enough, and not producing enough nutrition, or not getting enough nutrition from their food to actually produce enough HCl within their body. So that's a good thing to supplement there as well. And I wouldn't be worried unless you're taking way too much. This is a thing as well. Don't take so much that you start to feel the burning sensation. That's the point when you have to kind of take a step back and reducing that amount. Now, melatonin, there's a few different views on this. Now, the official mainstream view on it is that if you take too much melatonin, you will become resistant to it. It's like a hormone, like taking too much testosterone. Other people have said, no, it's not necessarily a feedback loop. You can actually increase that amount to larger amounts. And then there's a third party that nearly says, well, it's going to be very hard for us to get the amount that we need to, because we're constantly exposing ourselves to blue light, to screens that we're looking into as well. So our body's never going to produce enough. So if you can afford it, and it's not something you get any bad side effect from, if you simply take that 5 to 10 to 20 milligrams of whatever else you need, I think it usually starts at 1 gram that people recommend, and 1 milligram, and then all the way up to 20. If you're getting the benefits from it, it's much better to take that consistently and get the benefits from it than worrying about the fact that you might become your body will stop producing the same amount, because it's a very easy to get supplement. You get a ton of benefits from it. And if you're always deficient in it, it's a bit same as testosterone. If you reach a certain age and your testosterone is declining, it's sometimes better to go on TRT rather than saying, well, I can't ever reach that 600 plus NGDL on my testosterone. Well, go on TRT, because the side effects compared to the benefits you get from it long term and feeling better and all these other things, it's simply worth it. Melatonin is a little bit of, it's still, the jury's out. I'm from the opinion of saying, if you yourself, again, check with a doctor, get yourself covered from that side. But if you're getting the benefits from it, I'd say take it, because the benefits are so much more than having too little. And this was a lot of our stuff within life as well. Having a little bit in the higher range of optimal is way better than being deficient within it.
Yeah, completely agree. And the way that courses I've taken, seminars continually, even the last one a few months ago, and then just from my own research, like with melatonin, if you're not getting a good quality sleep, right, the offshoots and the symptoms and how much of an impact that can have on your organs, your brain, your carbohydrates, insulin sensitivity, mental health, all sorts of stuff, greatly outweighs the fact that if you take a little bit extra melatonin, maybe that'll have a bit of an impact on how you produce it. But also, like, making sure that you have the right building blocks to be able to produce melatonin in the first place. And that was more
Definitely.
a lot of focus on, as opposed to just taking melatonin to knock you out. It's like a precursor to melatonin is making sure that you have enough serotonin in your system. So back to the L-theanine and 5-HTP, and a couple ones that help to produce more serotonin. Serotonin makes you feel good and relaxed, and you're not sleepy or dozy, but you just feel kind of chill. And that you need to have those elements in your body that help to start the process to produce melatonin in the pituitary gland. So as opposed to, and that's usually what I try to coach a lot of clients around is if they have a go lifestyle and they're nonstop, it's not the right way to think, in my opinion, to just have stimulants, and then at 8 p.m. start hammering the depressants as much as you can to knock yourself out. You need to have a little bit more of a natural curve, right? So that winding down procedure is actually part of formulating a nice environment in your body to be able to produce hormones that help you to get a deeper sleep. So it's not just a switch on, switch off. So that's when I'd start taking some supplements that help me calm me down and don't knock me out. Yep.
So in an ideal world, as I said before, like ideally we could get everything from our food, from our nutrition. We're simply eating the right food and then that's what our body absorbs it from. Now the problem with this as well is that sometimes there's a few things that like chinks in the chain that don't simply work to get to that end stage. If we want to produce enough testosterone, enough melatonin, if we're overexposing ourselves to too much blue light, we can have the perfect kind of going back to the precursors that we need. So we look at tryptophan, 5-HTP, serotonin, and then melatonin. If we have the optimum within there, but we still have too much blue light, that's not going to be the right solution. But if you are living very healthily, if you're putting on your blue light blocking glasses at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if you are making sure that you're getting a more restful state, you're getting a bit of meditation in, then all you might need to do is rather than taking melatonin, you might only need to increase the amount of tryptophan that you have within your diet. So making sure that you're eating things such as turkey, if it's good quality and not soy fed, turkey very high in tryptophan, and you'll start to feel a lot more tired and sleepier as the night goes on. Same thing with testosterone. Rather than saying I'm going to do TRT, well, maybe I want to look at other things. Am I getting enough zinc? Am I getting magnesium? Am I getting enough saturated fat within my diet? If I'm getting enough of these things, then my body will produce the optimal amount with me, rather than me having to judge how much melatonin I need to take or how much testosterone I would have to inject or whatever else it is that people are doing to stay healthy or stay in the right shape.
Yeah, it's a real interesting topic because I think there's a few different viewpoints on it in terms of, if you lived a perfect life in nature and you had access to all the foods and no blue light and this kind of thing, where would your health be? But you also need to take into consideration that your biology is your bibliography, the Carolyn Myss quote. So like where you've been in your entire life, what you had for food for the last, 20, 30, 40, 50 years plus, conditions that you've had, the amount of stress that you've had. So how much your body has had to endure, you're bringing that to the table too. So even if you go out and live in nature at that point and you realize this is just modern life's not working for me, or I'm going to create a life that supports a real healthy environment, do you still have a lot of repair work to do too? And that can be all the way down to the DNA level. It gets a little bit nerdy at that point, but you also need to consider how long, if you've been living a life, the last decade of a really high impact job or a relationship that is just, not working, or you're coming out of really chronic stress, you need to take into consideration that you're bringing that impact to the table as well too. So making sure that longevity is about repairing and deeper repair. That our immune systems are often in a state where we only repair what immediately needs to be paid attention to, and that a lot of the long-term detoxification and maintenance and deeper repair work in our system it's a result of having long-term periods of health and relaxation. So I feel like supplementation helps to at least, if done correctly, to produce an internal environment on the inside of our bodies that we can sort of heal and get the nutrients that we need in order to make the most out of a certain stressful situation and start to unwind some of the stress that we might be bringing to your life currently. And then there's the whole talk around even if you're completely healthy and you live out, without any blue light and super on, fresh farm food and that kind of thing, what is a normal health level? And then what is an optimal health level? And that's the best sort of angle around that is Chinese medicine, because it's been around for 3,500 years. And they have two classifications of herbs. And one of them are basically the everyday herbs, so that you don't die if you get sick or you get a flu or a bug. Take this and you're going to feel better. And then they have what's called tonic herbs. And tonic herbs used to be only given to the elite, or the emperors, or people that were able to afford them, and that society deemed that they were important. These people survived. And tonic herbs they talk about what it does is provide radiant health, or health out of danger. So you start to develop a whole other level of optimal health. And optimal health would be the term that more Western practitioners would use. There's healthy, and then there's really making sure that your levels aren't just so that you're not going to get sick, but that you're going to actually proliferate health. You're going to get super, super healthy. So it comes down to a bit of an education around what you can do with supplements, herbs, and lifestyle. It comes down to recognizing and being really open to being aware of your past and any conditions that you had in the past or that have developed as a result of the past, and a choice in terms of how healthy do you want to be? Like, what is your goal? So for me, it is a dynamic process. It's a bit of both. I'll have days where I get a bit of a sore throat and stuff, and I'll take some herbs and some oil of oregano, some garlic, or some Chinese herbs, and I feel better, by the end of the day. Then I'd have long periods where I'm really excelling, and I really feel like I am building health out of danger and building up my organs and my systems to be extremely resilient. So preventative maintenance is another way, but I like the Chinese medicine term, the radiant health out of danger. And tonic herbs. So there's herbs that target different systems at the same time. So ginseng will work on your energy, it'll work on your heart, but it also works on your liver and your stomach and your kidneys and your adrenals all at the same time. So there's a synergy to what an herb like that provides, versus taking something that's a little bit more pinpointed to, okay, this is a supplement that helps the functioning of your heart, or this is something that helps with liver detoxification. There's just a bit of a different approach. There's a lot to consider. It's a real big topic, and there's a lot of information out there. But, yep.
100%. And then one thing I want to mention about Chinese medicine as well, because a few people have mentioned or heard us mention that over the last few podcasts, and I know people will instantly, or some people will instantly switch off when they hear that. They think it's too alternative, too woo-woo, or an out there. And this thing, right now, all these medicines are being researched. A lot of them, there's a lot of studies coming out for every single herb or medicine at the moment, because a lot more is coming out of saying, well, these are actually very, very beneficial and working better than the Western medicines that we have at the moment. And of course, there's always going to be ones there that have no benefits, or simply an undiscovered benefit within there as well. And there's a few times there people talk about the outrageous ingredients that people use within Chinese medicine as the criticism for it, while forgetting that there's thousands of herbs out there that have been scientifically and using Western science to prove that they have a huge benefit and better than a lot of the medicines that we use to treat acute conditions. So it's very important to mention that as well. Do your own research, look into the studies that have come out about it, look into the effect that it has, and from the other side as well. One thing that Paulo always mentioned is that if he waited for the research to come out, he would be 2 Olympics behind. He would be 8 years behind, or even more than that, before someone would do a study on it. And he would care more about, well, I've seen 200 to 500 to 1,000 people use this specific supplement or herb or something like that, and they get a ton of benefit out of that. And that's what matters. We don't care necessarily about the woo-woo or defending an ideology or anything like that. We care about what works. We want to make sure that the people that we work with get to the result that they want to have as fast and as healthily as possible, and that's what matters.
And that's always the major thing, is that a lot of it is psychosomatic. People take a supplement and they think they're doing something good, so it's a psychosomatic thing, which has merit, but you have to feel the difference, and that's a whole other topic. But there's some supplements that they may be the best thing in the world. People will recommend them, and I take them, and I don't feel much different, and so I kind of stopped taking them. It's more of a natural selection, and there's certain things that really work for me. I remember a thing that Charles said as well too, that around for an average person who's just starting off with supplementation, not taking more than 5 supplements. If you take more than 5, for some reason, it just stops working. It's too much for the body to figure out what's going on. So simplicity is huge. For most clients, when they come in and it's just supplements are a brand new thing that I see, how's your sleep? It's bad. How's my digestion? Oh, it's back and forth. magnesium is first, and then I'll try to fix their digestion with some HCl or digestive enzymes. And those two are really important, I find, to help to regulate multiple other things. If you're not sleeping correctly or you're not digesting correctly, a lot of other symptoms are going to come up as a result of those. And follow, I mean, a lot of new supplement companies, at least in North America, Canada specifically, there's like pretty high grade naturopathic supplementation so companies, and part of their formulas, some of their formulas are actually Chinese medicine formulas. And I'll look at the formula and I'll be like, wait a minute, that's a heart formula. That's great. And they've used a formula, and I know that, I think a lot of the major thing is sourcing where the ingredients come from. So if I get it from a company that I know is a high grade and it's been through third-party testing and stuff, that is one caution that I would put out there if you're thinking of getting into tonic herbs or adaptogens and stuff, to make sure that they're third-party tested. Because, I mean, same thing with lots of supplements, you don't know where they're coming from. So quality is huge. Make sure that research is done. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. We're coming up to the half an hour mark, but before we do, I think there's two things that I really want to just give us a last bit of value within there as well. You mentioned 5 supplements to start off with. So say if you're listening to this and you're not taking any supplements, you mentioned magnesium and then something for digestion. So that would be a digestive enzyme. So usually these come within 5 or 6 different digestive enzymes all in one. It sometimes also has something like betaine HCl within it as well to increase stomach acid. So something like that I'd highly recommend as well. And what are 3 other ones that you would say completely new, someone's just generally want to improve their health, lose a bit of fat, gain a bit of muscle, just to be a bit healthier? What is the 3 other ones that you would recommend as well?
Oh, for sure. So vitamin D, definitely, unless you live in a tropical climate. Part of it is on location where you do live, but definitely if you're further north of the equator. Yeah.
This is the thing as well, though. Vitamin D, there's a big deficiency from people who live near the equator as well, because a lot of them avoid the sun because it's so strong. Yeah. So a lot of people there do have a deficiency there. So I'd say get a test, because it's a great one to do. But no, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
Vitamin D, I recommend.
Yeah, vitamin D. Also, the darker color your skin, the more that you need, because you have a hard time retaining it, right? So vitamin D, magnesium, and a digestive enzyme. Another one, so a good multivitamin is really good too, to make sure you're getting enough of the micronutrients. A good multivitamin helps to also balance out detoxification in your liver, so that you're detoxifying correctly. So it gives a lot of different micronutrients. Fish oils are important, but it depends on your diet. Like most, sort of the standard North American diet is going to be high in a lot of trans fats, a lot of vegetable oils, and those have typically done a lot of damage. So you need to have really good quality omega-3s. So a fish oil, omega-3, high DHA and high EPA. EPA is for joints and inflammation. DHA is more for the brain, so get a good balance in there. But if you've been living like a Mediterranean diet, having a lot of fresh fish that is wild caught, and you're getting a lot of good quality fat, then it's probably not something to look towards. But that would be number 5, right? For muscle building,
definitely.
Yeah, zinc. Zinc would be a good one.
Zinc.
I find zinc is really zinc and vitamin D for upping testosterone, which is going to help to build muscle. And they're both really helpful for immune system too. So I'd say all those 5: magnesium, digestive enzyme, multivitamin, fish oil, depending on, and then zinc. And we need another one in there. I say multivitamin, yeah. Carnitine. I mean, you know,
K2, big one to make the vitamin D more efficiency.
K2, if you get a vitamin D3
absolutely.
with K2, then that's beneficial. I usually carry that. Yep.
Definitely.
Electrolytes.
Just a side note, and actually a few companies, electrolytes, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. A few companies, go ahead, yeah.
So a few companies that I recommend, as well for these, and no affiliation. I'm curious to see which ones you use as well. Solgar is a good one. Solare is a very good brand as well, a little bit cheaper than a lot of other ones, but still very good quality. ATP Labs, Designs for Health, and Nutridyne. If you get supplements from there, you don't necessarily need to worry too much about the ingredients. They test them well, they're good quality, they do the lab testing themselves. And this is something you find a lot when you buy magnesium supplements, just a cheap one from a supermarket. they'll have just magnesium oxide within that, and it's useless. Your body hardly absorbs it. I think it's 3% absorption, and if you get too much, it's just a laxative. So it doesn't actually have any of the benefits, and actually some of the downsides of it as well. But you don't have to worry about that when you go to a good supplement company who kind of avoids these things because they want people to get the benefits from that.
Yep. Yeah, Canada, similar thing, like Designs for Health. And ATP Labs is great. AOR is another really good one, and Metagenics, I would say. And yes, yep. For magnesium glycinate is usually the sort of basic one that's going to be a really good quality, highest absorption rate. Yeah.
And this doesn't mean that other companies aren't good. It's just those are the ones that I've had personal experience with, or worked with other trainers or other people, and they said, no, these are the ones that they've done the background checks on to make sure that they do the good work. Another one is Thorn as well. Thorn does some good stuff, and yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Well, Jacob, thanks so much again. That was fantastic. Everybody, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment below if you've got any further questions about the supplements we mentioned here. There's so much more we can talk about within supplements. This is just scratching the surface, and as we say with everything else, there's a lot more we can kind of dive in deeper as well. So if there's anything you want to hear about, please add that below as well, and we'll see you in the next video.
Looking forward. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, and we'll check you out the next time.
Cheers.